Yo, yo, it's time to discover the flow. Shout out to the bros. You know, I like to welcome everybody to discover the flow. No matter how you discover the show or discover the bros, now you about to see how far we can go, because it's time for discover the flow. Yeah, cowabunga do. You know live is how we come to you. Turn the levels up when you hear the boys coming through. The Pod Squad giving you just what you need, hitting you with a new special guest every week. Don't you dare hit skip, man, it's Tristan and Kip. DTF Pod about to take you on a trip. Mega Ran bring the heat, yeah. But be clear, I wasn't even supposed to be here. Welcome to Discover the Flow. No matter how you discovered the show or discovered the pros, now you about to see how far we can go, because it's time for Discover the Flow. Let's start the show.
That's what we pay for.
Yep.
You know, they've had me do that on a number of occasions. I'll do like a, you know, whatever the hell goes on. I'm the worst with all this technology, but at home I've really figured out, and I got a nice happy world, a nice setup. But here I'm in one of my niece's bedrooms in
Nice room
in Dyer, Indiana. Yes, that's what's going on here. Sorry for all the confusion. Yesterday was going to work, and then I woke up to 4 things that ended up being 7. You know, it's just how this press tour has gone. But this morning, I wrapped it up at 9:40 on WFLD TV in Fox, Chicago, and the official tour is over. We're doing a Christmas push, whatever. The numbers are in. We did really well, which is heartwarming. So yeah, it's been interesting. It's been interesting.
It's
That's
well
good.
deserved, though. I did see that in, I think, Boston or Miami, you sold out of books. There were so many people.
They sold out of books in Boston. Miami, it was a book fair. They didn't know how many people would show up. And there was a ton of people, which is great, except, I'm sorry, guys, I'm looking for something to, I want to make the, give me one, I want to raise the thing. Is this going to be a video or just audio?
It's just audio.
Just audio.
I don't give a shit. You see this? If I raise, I can kind of make it go away. But
Well, that's all right. I kind of discovered that with my beard, I look like a marionette puppet right now. So I just
that's
go.
hysterical. I should wear a beard just to get rid of all. Look at this. Yeah, this old thing sucks. Look at a little surgery. Look how nice it would be. Just a little pull.
It's the right holiday for a little turkey waddle. You know,
It is a little. Yes, it is the right holiday.
It is.
Yeah.
Which
But
is
anyway,
a great way to start it off, because in my research I noticed something about you. You have played Santa Claus at least 5 times.
Oh my God, easily. Yeah, and last year, the one I did last year, and I couldn't promote it because the strike was on, and it was with Octavia Spencer. I don't know if you saw that one. It was Snoot McNary, me, and Octavia Spencer, and I love it. It's Coca-Cola. They do these little mini films. It's around 15 minutes, maybe a little longer, but it's a really sweet little film with those amazing actors. I was so thrilled because the year before, Coke had brought me on to do this other one where it was me with the vampire. So it was a whole thing. Oh, someone's got a little jingle going on.
That's our co-host Charlie. Charlie is our
Charlie will make
pup.
himself known. He will make himself known.
Is Charlie cat or dog?
Dog.
Oh, I love that.
There's Mr. Charlie right here.
Charlie, what are you doing, buddy? Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, he's had a pretty rough first half of his life, but for the last year and a half, he's been spoiled with us now.
As it should be. Yeah. And where are you guys at?
We're in Naperville, Illinois. Like literally, Wentz
3
Hall,
blocks up
you
from where
did
you
your signing in Naperville.
Yeah.
We could have walked there in less than 5 minutes.
Wow. Well, that thing went crazy too. There were 270 people. So, and some people bought multiple books. So the signing took, first we did an hour of a talk, and then I was supposed to be done at 5, and we got done at 7:15. Like it was a lot. I mean, lovely, incredibly lovely and supportive. The people were there, but my God, it was a lot.
But that's good. I mean, that means your book is selling.
Yeah, no complaints.
That's all 100% positive.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Yeah.
So we were just talking about you
today that the libraries bought 1,000 books.
Really?
Wow.
The libraries bought 1,000 books. That warmed my heart because I did this thing for them in San Diego. I went to this event, and it really was a fun event. And I chatted with a lot. Anyway, blah blah blah, and they put in an order for 1,000. Like that's. I don't even know what to say to that. It's so amazing. Yeah.
So we were just talking about your Santa stuff that you did.
Yes.
My personal favorite was the Santa Princess rap battle, Mrs. Claus versus. How did you get involved in that one? How did that come about?
The girl who does all those princess rap battles. Oh, I can't think of her name right now, and I love her, but I'm 62 and names don't come to me like they used to. She just reached out. She had, she had seen me on whatever, and she reached out. We had a mutual friend, and I saw that script, and it just looked hysterical. And she had attached, she's done a number of rap battles, and she attached a bunch of them for me to see. And I thought, oh, these are legit. Like she's really doing this. And so we did it, and I had to go in. I had to record my version. And first of all, I don't sing. Like I'm a terrible singer, but somehow they made me sound presentable. The magic of whatever. But I had to do my little rap thing. It was so much fun. But here's what's crazy. That damn thing, now I haven't looked in over a year, so I'd have to check now. Last I checked, it had around 30 or 35 million views. Million.
We watched it the other day. That was fantastic.
Did you happen to know it has another 500,000 now from us?
Oh, my God. And wasn't it fun? I think it's a really fun...
It's a great concept. It's a great comedy concept.
It really is, and she still does them. That's the thing. She still does those.
There's a series similar to that called Epic Rap Battles of History, where they do stuff like the Ninja Turtles versus the painters and the artists that were opposite their names, or Frank Sinatra versus Freddie Mercury and stuff like that. Like it's pretty tremendous. But since you mentioned this,
I love stuff like that.
You said you're 62 and you were born in 62, right?
Yes, which someone told me
that means it's your golden birthday.
Oh, golden birthday. Now, here's the thing. I just learned this a couple of weeks ago. I've been wasting this whole year. I should have been saying this is my golden birthday. I haven't told anybody because I just heard of this.
Yeah, I was listening to a podcast a couple of weeks ago, and I heard you mention that, and I was like, I got to tell him it's his golden birthday.
I know. Someone else just recently said it. I did not know that. I thought they said platinum, but I don't even remember. But yeah, no.
I mean, platinum sounds cooler than gold. So, I mean, maybe go with that.
What the hell?
Your own
but in 2 months, it's over. Like, I'm heading to 63. I'm knocking on that door.
That's all right. You still got 2 months.
How old are you guys? Still babies?
I'm 44.
I'll be 43 in January.
Oh, I hate both of you. Okay, that means technically, I could be a very young father of yours.
I would be fine with that.
I'm happy with the one I have, but that would be cool.
I used to say, as I'm getting older, oh man, I could be this person's father, that person's father. Now, when I'm on set, it's mostly I could be grandfather. Like we are, at 62. Yeah. If there's a 20-year-old, I could easily be a 20-year-old's grandfather. Like. Nothing.
See, and I'm at a point now. We would be a more realistic representation than the perfect 10s they cast for you as your daughters on Parks and Rec.
Why? I don't understand, Tristan. What was odd about that? I don't see anything.
No, I'm just saying we are a more realistic.
Careful. I'll bring you down a shovel. I'll bring you down a shovel if you want.
I wish you would correct me, because I don't like this conversation.
He's
first the Philly cheesesteak thing with Ralph Garman. Now this. All right.
Yeah, I don't know why I keep you around. This is.
Yeah, really. I don't know what's going on.
Are
you guys in the same house?
We are. Yeah. We are. I'm downstairs with the dog.
Yeah.
Different room.
Trying not to look like I'm in. I'm shooting a terrorist video or a demands, and he's upstairs in the cozy living room that we designed with the giant projector and all the theater stuff.
I love all of that. That all works for me.
Yeah, we're big movie
love
buffs. That's a big thing
As
around
you
here.
should be. I love it.
We got our living room designed with some of our favorite movie posters. So we have like Star Wars, we have Deadpool and Wolverine. What would you pick Goodfellas, and then we have Tombstone as well.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh, you guys are really deep in.
And the
Tombstone
shelves,
really, yeah.
the shelves back here behind me,
Yeah.
it's all got different props and things from different movies that
Wow.
that we have collected.
There's at the Comic Cons, I've gone to a number of them over the years, and there's a guy is called Props to History. Do you know who that is?
No,
I'm
I've
familiar
never
with
heard
the
of
name.
him.
He's got some amazing stuff, like really amazing stuff. I think it's called Props to History, I believe. Yeah, really cool TV, film, all sorts of great stuff.
Good.
So you grew up in Lansing, and you started with a comedic theater troupe called White Noise, right?
Well, I would say my original training was Second City. I trained at Second City, and I always, I tell the story that I know that the first day that I stepped on that stage and I got my first laugh, it just felt like, wow, this is cool. Like, I really, really like this. And my sister used to say to me before I really got into the business, she goes, what if you're only family funny? What if only we think you're funny? And I had never really thought about that, but what if she was right? Maybe my family just thinks I'm funny. But that was my first laugh where I thought, wait a minute, I don't know any of these people. I'm funny. And so that's what started it. And then as the training went on over the years, I met this other group of people, and there were 6 of us, and we created this group called White Noise. And we started as an improvisation group, and it turned into 2 of the guys, Ned Crowley and Pat Cannon, are just brilliant writers. And so they started writing sketches. And then one of the shows, we turned all the sketches into a full piece, like literally from beginning to end. It was, even though the sketches, you'd be like, well, how is this going to come together? But by the end of the show, it all came together. And for the time, because we're talking, I'm going to say mid 80s, maybe a little later, maybe 87, 88, it was pretty high tech for the time. Like now, a kid can put up their phone and make a film, it's a whole different thing. But at the time, we were like, our characters would run off stage at a place called the Roxy where we performed, and we would shoot off onto a screen, and we would be a cartoon, like literally a cartoon that looked like us. So for the time, it was pretty cool. And then we did this show called Stumpy's Gang, and it had puppets and blood, lots of blood. And my character was nutty. And I was raised by this Wagnerian mother who put operas into my head. And so his name was Frank Boobman, my character, and he was working at a genetics factory. And his main job was to discard the genetic mistakes. And by discard, I'm supposed to put them in an incinerator. But they're these little creatures. But instead of doing that, my character's crazy brain decided to start a kid show with them. And so he's using these creatures, and he creates a kid show because he used to watch Kukla, Fran, and Ollie, which I don't know if you guys even know what that is. You're too young. But so he became obsessed. And of course, these creatures don't want to be doing it. They're in pain and they're bleeding. And the audience would fall in love with these little creatures. And it was heartwarming. And there was just so much blood. And so by the end, I would be coated top to bottom between the sweat and the blood. And then at the end, I throw myself into an incinerator. It was nuts. It was absolutely nuts. And it became a cult show in Chicago. It became a show that people were lined up around the block to try to get in. You had my character at the very beginning, he ate 5 Twinkies in a row watching a television show. And I did that every performance. Some shows, some nights, 2 shows, just so you know. Yeah.
Were you well, and you're on stage, so you have a bucket to spit in or anything.
This is theater. There's no spitting. This isn't Better Call Saul where I can take a big, bite of a Cinnabon and put it in the garbage. No.
As a diabetic, I have a question. Do you still have your actual feet?
I have my feet. I have my pancreas. Yes. And it's funny when I was just jumping a topic, but I did an episode of Better Call Saul where I had to eat a bunch of Cinnabons. And every day the on-set medic would check my sugar. They would pop my finger to see and I'm not diabetic, but there was so much sugar going in. But so we did the show, and it was at the same time, I also happened to be doing another, because once our normal run of the show was over, we went to midnights because it was the perfect, you've had a couple of drinks or maybe a couple of other things going on, and people love to show up. So I would do an 8 o'clock show over at Royal George Theater on Halstead in Chicago, and called Vampire Lesbians of Sodom. So I do that crazy show, and then I go and do the midnight show, and I would pull up, and there would be people dressed like my character, and it was like, damn, this thing has caught on. Like,
you were like a Rocky Horror legend.
It was very much like that, where people were dressing and stuff. So that's when, after it was, it'd been running, and it kept running, and we kept moving locations. And it was tough, though, because a lot of theaters did not want us because of the blood. Because you can make the best blood in the world, it's still going to have a little milk in it. And let's face it, that's going to go bad. So
yeah,
people didn't love us by the end of this. But we had always, as actors, we're like, man, wouldn't it be cool to do pilot season? Because we kept hearing about pilot season in Los Angeles that actors should go out for. And so we decided we're going to bring this damn thing to LA. And we raised money and, loaded up the car and moved to Beverly. We literally loaded up everything we had, our sets, our lives, and we were going to do 3 months in LA. That was the plan. Do the show, do a pilot season, and come home. I never went home. I got to LA. I did the usual thing that every actor does. I had 100 headshots, and I went it was $60, and you could buy stickers with all of the casting directors throughout LA. I don't know if that's even a thing anymore. And I mailed them out. Of course, I heard nothing, not a word. Nobody reached out to me, nothing. But then Stumpy's gang, we start doing the shows, and the same thing happened in LA. All of a sudden, people are showing up. Some celebrities are showing up. David Lee Roth saw it twice, I think. Like, it became this show. And same thing, people were spinning a giant Twinkie to win tickets. Like, it was crazy. It was crazy. Seinfeld walked by one day and he goes, what the hell is going on in there? I go, you don't even want to, it's just lunacy. Well, then the show, the word of mouth starts going around, and agents start calling me. They're saying, hey, we'd like to have a meeting with you. Hey, could we spend some time together? Which was not what I had been experiencing before the show went up. So I always say, Pat Cannon, who wrote it, I'm like, dude, my career happened because of you, because Stumpy's opened up doors that could not be opened. And I was on set, I think it was Seth Meyers. I think it was Seth, one night as a guest, and he brought out pictures from Stumpy's gang. And it's horrific. It's me with this mutant on my shoulder. And I said to him, I'm sitting here because of that little puppet. That is why I'm here. So I'll be forever grateful for that little, and there's pictures in the book. People will be able to see the puppet. They're terrifying. And yet by the end of the show, you were in love with these creatures, absolutely in love with them.
Oh my God! I as you're talking, I'm looking stuff up here, and I'm finding pictures and stuff.
Yes.
There's one gentleman with an accordion and a green screen with a puppet behind him.
Yes. Yeah. No, it was it was nuts, but amazing also. It was a game changer for me, truly, because I also, who knows what life will bring every day. We could have, we should have, whatever. Maybe if I had gone here, this would have happened. If I had gone here, that wouldn't have happened. Who knows? But that's one of those I always wonder. If I hadn't done that play, would my career have happened? Because before Parks, I was still very busy. Like, Stumpy's opened up doors because it got me my agents and my manager, which is what you need to have a career in LA. You got to have people pitching you, because no one cares if you're doing it on your own. Though that, especially nowadays, I know it's a little different. There's a lot of more non-union opportunities, but in my day, you had to have a union card and you had to have an agent. And without those, not much was going to happen. And because of these crazy bloody puppets, I ended up getting that, which then led to auditions, which then led to bookings. And I'm very proud to say, and believe me, some years were tight, but I landed in LA August 4th, 1994. So 30 years. And I've never done anything other than be an actor to pay my bills. And again, sometimes we're tough, but there was always enough coming in that I was able to maintain. And, Nick Offerman and I would always say we were these journeyman actors, guys who were working a lot, but nothing that would change things until a little show called Parks and Recreation. And then everything changed.
Well, that's you guys were kind of like Luis Guzman. Like, you were the guys that everybody would see somewhere and be like, "Oh, I know that guy," but nobody quite knew your name yet. And
so many times
you were doing everything.
Yeah, I was all over the place. And really, if you have a career and you end up with a career that people are like, "Oh, I've seen you a lot," and they don't know who you are, you've had a pretty good career, because that means
they're
you're out there
going
a
to
lot.
eventually, yeah.
And so that was always a blessing in itself. And then again, when Parks happens, it goes from I've seen you a lot to now they know your name. They know. Turns out people track down where I live. That turned into a whole thing. Like, they stalk you. Like, things get a little nutty.
So just to kind of go over some of your credits, I've seen Third Rock, Party of Five, Ellen, Drew Carey, Ally McBeal.
Yeah.
I also see that you were in Star Trek. Which Star Trek were you in? And what character were you? Because I'm a huge Trek fan.
You just got him now.
I'm not a Star Trek guy. So you're going to have to piece this together. So it was the one with Kate Mulgrew.
Okay, Voyager.
Is that Voyager? And my species was called Husband. I don't know the name of it, but here's how obsessed people like you are with this show. So I do one episode, and they put this little vagina right on my forehead right here. It looks just like a little, I don't know how PC we have to be on this show, but let's go with
They were already treating you like Gary Gergich on Star Trek.
Exactly, yes. Put a big pussy on the top of my head, yes. So, which was fun. It was the first time I had ever had my face fully masked, when they do to get the imprints and everything. So it was really cool. But so that was great. One episode. So I don't know, a year later, whenever, I'm selling my condo in Hollywood. And this guy comes in with this kid, and the kid is like 18 or 19, and he's going to buy him a condo. A lovely, nice father. And the kid walks in, sees me, gets all excited, and says, "Dad, we have to buy this place." They hadn't even looked at it yet.
He recognized you out of the makeup?
Out of the makeup. He totally recognized me, and they bought the damn condo. It couldn't have been nicer. And we are still in touch. He's still in that condo, and he has ended up in the animation world. So he's involved. Yeah, so he's involved with all that kind of stuff. But yeah, you Star Trek people, wow. They're committed.
Star Trek fans are nuts.
Yeah, I mean, really. And sometimes when I go to these Comic-Cons, there'll be, some of the Star Trek people there, and they're lined up. They want that picture. They want that autograph. Yeah, those are dedicated fans.
Man, if it wasn't for Gene Roddenberry and Lucille Ball, you wouldn't have been able to sell your condo.
Wait, what do you mean Lucille Ball? What's that?
Oh, you've never heard about. Okay, so when Gene Roddenberry couldn't get Star Trek on the air, Lucille Ball, who was part of Desilu Productions, she was huge. Obviously, everybody knew that, but she was the one that went to the studio and said, "We're putting this on the air."
Never knew that. Never knew that.
I grew up a very big Lucille Ball fan for
I love reason Lucille
other than
Ball.
Yeah, I just used it. It was my thing. Like, I would watch Thundercats, I would watch He-Man, probably some other crap show what was the one with Vicky the robot, Small Wonder, and then I would watch I Love Lucy.
But now, are you too young to have watched like Land of the Lost?
No, I've watched that.
Obviously not in first run, but
but
definitely in reruns.
I didn't watch it in first run either. Just so you know, you son of a bitch. But also, what's the other one? Mr. With Mr.
Lost in Space.
Lost in Space. Yes.
Danger Will Robinson.
Danger Will Robinson. Yeah.
Which the remake of was actually pretty good too, just for the record.
The one with Matt LeBlanc, the movie, or the
no, they did a remake of the show with what was her name?
Oh, I don't know.
I gotta look it up now. Now that I said it, I gotta look it
Getting
up.
old sucks, doesn't it? But I'll tell you,
it
you
does.
mentioned, you mentioned you were obsessed with, like Lucille Ball. I had that obsession with Mary Tyler Moore, and
of course.
there's a story in the book because I got to meet her, and it's one of the most embarrassing things that have happened to me in my entire life. But it is what it is. So I got to meet her, and then last 2 years ago now, I got to, when I did Better Call Saul, Carol Burnett was on it. And that, I mean, I talk about that in the book too. Apparently my eyes glossed over when they said she was there because they had lied about her name on the call sheet. So I didn't know she was there. And I get there and the director says, "Do you know who's here?" No, I know. I saw the call sheet. The only name I knew was Odenkirk. And she goes, "Look over there." And there's Carol Burnett sitting in a little cart because her scene has her in a cart at a deli. According to them, because I almost don't remember the moment, my eyes glossed over and I stepped away because I really was like, what is happening? How is this happening right now? And so then she goes, "Do you want to meet her?" I go, "Oh my God, yes." But then I was nervous that the same thing that happened with Mary Tyler Moore was going to happen with Carol Burnett. And it kind of did. Carol Burnett ended up saving my ass and being the kindest, sweetest, most gracious person ever. And she made the embarrassment go away because she was amazing.
The Lost in Space remake was Parker Posey and Toby Stevens were the two.
I don't remember that at all.
That was on Netflix. So
Parker Posey did an episode of Parks.
Did she?
Yes, she did. She played our nemesis. She played I can't think of her character's name, but Eagleton was Parks and Eagleton hated each other, and her and Amy used to both be in Pawnee. Leslie, rather, I should say. And then whatever happened with her career, she took a job in Eagleton. So they became enemies. And so so there was an episode about
I remember that one. Yeah. Yeah, because they were best friends that used to work together in the parks department as well. Yes.
And I love Parker because I love indie films, and she's in many ways the queen of indie films, or one of the
She
queens.
really is.
A lot of queens of indie out there, but she's definitely one of them. So I love working with people like that.
So I'm curious about something. Of all the roles you've ever had in your career, your grandpa was a cop, your dad was a cop. Have you ever played a cop?
Oh my God, look at me. You think I haven't played a cop 100 times? Of course I have. I played a cop, I played a detective, I played a judge. I played lawyer, put me in the legal field anywhere. Yes. Look at this Irish face. Yes, I have played a cop.
You do look like you could twirl a baton pretty good.
You look like at this point you're getting too old for this shit. So it's
many times. But I will tell you, I had something happen to me not that long ago, and I've told this story recently, and it's a little embarrassing, but whatever. After writing this book, I've lost any kind of. I've just been telling everything.
Shame.
I've just absolutely no shame. I've told.
Listen, I heard you tell a story about you shitting yourself, so no shame,
baby. It's in the book, and here's what I've decided.
Don't tell it. Make them buy the book.
Before I talk to people, we've all been there. I'm just going to say that. Most people didn't do it on national television like I did, but we've all been there. But anyway, so a couple months ago, this girl comes up to me and she goes, "I loved you in Criminal Minds." And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, that wasn't me. You're thinking of somebody else." And she goes, No, it was you." And I said, "Nope, I've never done a Criminal Minds." She pulls out her phone. She pulls up to IMDb. And damn it, I had done a Criminal Minds. I totally forgot. And then it all came rushing back to me because I played Sharon Lawrence's lawyer. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. But
that sounds like a good problem to have.
Well, the good and the bad of it is, the bad is I'm getting old and just forgetting shit. The good is I've done a lot of work. I've been so blessed with the amount of work I've done that some projects are just kind of, boo, they're just gone.
IMDb has over 200 credits. So, I mean, you can't be expected to remember all of them.
Well, but a guest spot is not necessarily going to be big or memorable either. Like it depends. It's not like you're doing a huge role necessarily.
But the reason I should have remembered it, Kip, is because it was the penultimate series finale. Like it was one of the last two episodes. Like it should have stuck, but it did not. And I don't know. It is what it is. But the other thing somebody brought up to me, because I said, they said you have over 200 credits. One of them, just one, is Parks and Rec, and that was 126 episodes. So it is wild when I think about it. That's a lot of work over the years, and to be in this business and to make a career out of it, I thank God every day, because it's a crapshoot. This is boring, but I'll tell this to anybody who will listen.
It's not boring to us.
No. But the statistic I'm about to tell you, who likes statistics? But at any point, only 2% of SAG, Screen Actors Guild, is working at the same time. Think about that, 2%. Wow. So if you're in that 2%, you better be damn grateful and happy. And I'm not saying every day is a party and lollipops and whatever, but you should be really grateful that you are part of that 2%. So that's why, on Parks, we had a, Mike and Mike Shore and Amy Poehler set up very quickly a no assholes policy. So if you were going to be an asshole, you were not going to be around. And that's how it should always be. Because if you're part of that 2%, you are one lucky bastard. And so I kind of live my life based on that. Like, I'm heading out I get home, I wrap this tour. I just wrapped it today. I'll get home on the 30th. I leave the next week for a film in Kentucky. Part of me is like, I just want to go home and sleep for a week. But I'm also like, no, somebody wants me to do a film in Kentucky. I will be there.
Sleep when you're dead.
Exactly.
Well, if you're blessed enough to be working, there's no place for being a jackass about it.
But let me tell you, I see it all the time, and it's disgusting. It really makes me crazy, because also
I know egos get in the way.
Egos that's what it is. It's egos. But you got to remember, when you're working, on whether it's a sitcom or a feature or whatever, generally, I can't speak for everybody, it's a decent paycheck. Like, it's not like you're working for $5 an hour. You're making a lovely amount of money. And so here you are, you're working, you're making money enough to keep your insurance, because that's the big thing now, because things are crazy in Hollywood right now, and people are losing insurance left and right. So if you're part of the 2% that is making money, is keeping their insurance, is going to work, I'm sorry, you got to be grateful. You just have to be.
With all the people you've worked with and all the credits that you have, it makes me curious. And maybe, I don't know, maybe we can will something into existence here. Is there anybody you haven't worked with that's still on like a wish list or something?
Wow, I've never been asked that question. There has to be. You know who? Oh, boy, this is going to be weird. I've been recently rewatching. Have you ever watched 30 Rock?
Oh, of course, yeah.
It's a great show. It's a really great show. And you know who? And I know has his issues, and I don't know if I don't know, but I think Alec Baldwin is incredibly talented.
Oh, he's hilarious.
He's fantastic. I don't necessarily agree with his politics, and that's the only time I'll even mention politics tonight. But
right, and whether you agree
as far as his pedigree goes, his work history, I don't think I've seen anything that I haven't enjoyed him in.
I personally, I have this weird thing for Amy Poehler and Tina Fey, where because of how funny and intelligent they are, I find them to be quite attractive to me. So anything that they make, kind of like Terry Crews, I'll watch. If their names are attached to it,
And actually, now that you mentioned Tina, I know Tina. I've been around Tina, but I've never worked with Tina. I would love to work with Tina. I would love to work with Baldwin. But like some of my heroes, I did get to work with Dick Van Dyke, Carol Burnett.
Wow.
In the Dick Van Dyke thing, I almost didn't know if I could do it because I was so worked up and so excited. And I walked up to him and I thought, I just got to get this out. It was the first day on, what was his TV show? Diagnosis Murder. And I played, and also I'll tell you one of my favorite compliments I've ever gotten. So I'm just like, I got to go up. And I said, Mr. Van Dyke, my name is Jim. I'll be playing whatever role. And I said, I'm just such a big fan. And I'm just so nervous to meet you. And he looked at me and he goes, Jim, I've seen your work. You're the real deal. I'm just a showman. And I thought, what are you talking about? You're a genius. But
I've heard nothing but good things about Dick Van Dyke.
My God.
He's just a wonderful human being.
We were in the hair and makeup trailer one day. he's singing songs from Mary Poppins. I'm like, what is happening in my life that I'm sitting next to Dick Van Dyke and he's singing songs from a movie he was in? But here's one of my favorite compliments I ever got. So we're doing a scene, and in this episode, I play a bad man, but they wanted it to look like I wasn't, like I was the last person you were supposed to suspect. That was what the producers were hoping. But I was killing women left and right, and I was putting things in their mouth, like it was bad. So
it sounds like a CSI episode.
Yes, it was very. And so, you meet me and it's happening to some of my workers and I'm all upset. Well, it turns out I'm the guy doing it. But by the way, spoiler alert, it was 30 years ago or 20 years ago, whatever the hell it was.
If you haven't caught it yet, it's your own fault.
Exactly. That's on you, not on me. So we do a scene where his character, I'm in the backyard barbecuing for my family, my wife and my 2 kids. And my wife was played by one of the daughters on 8 is Enough, which I loved. I just thought that was the coolest thing because I love those. I loved 8 is Enough. So his character, whatever his character's name, had figured out that I was the killer. So he shows up to my house, but he's got no proof. Like he has nothing. He can't arrest me because he's got nothing other than he knows. And I'm in the yard and he basically says, I know you did it. But I know he doesn't have enough. And so we have this scene, this amazing scene. And at the end, because he's like, well, what about your wife? And my character is very much like, well, if I thought I could get away with it, I'd do it to her too. Whatever it was. And so the scene is over. We're moving on to the next scene. And the producers come up and they said, we have been working with Dick all these years on this series. We've never seen him so disgusted. And I at first thought, because I did a shitty job, like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. But they meant he was so horrified by what I was doing in the scene that they'd never seen that look on his face. So it was quite a compliment. And he said,
brought him there. He bought it. Yeah.
And he said to me later, he goes, you made me shake. And I was like, yes, baby.
There you go.
See, those are the greatest compliments you can
The
get.
greatest.
Shake that dick. Shake that dick.
Exactly. Funny you should mention it. Whatever. That's later. Whatever.
So I got a question for you because obviously we're eventually going to get into Parks and Rec. I want to start it off by asking you auditioned for the role of Ron Swanson. Like, what was your take on Ron?
I hate that it's not out there because so many people's auditions are out there. If you look up The Office, a lot of their auditions are out there. I can't find mine, and I've looked because my memory of it might be different than what I actually did just because you know how memories are. But I remember trying to be stern, but it's so weird because when I really think about it, all I can think of is Nick. I can't imagine anyone other than Nick Offerman playing the role.
And the best delivery of all
which,
time.
by the way, I got a text from Nick today. Just on my glasses here. Yeah. This is, I don't know. I can go on all day about these people, but Nick just said, okay, where the hell? Of course, I've lost it already. Okay, I'm just going to cut to the chase because it should be right. It was early today. It should be front and center. But he basically said, I'm halfway through your book, and I'm so proud of you. He goes, your memory is wonderful, and what a wonderful trip down memory lane. So Nick is just a special human being. They all are. As if you read this book, you'll hear me say they're all amazing people. But so the thought of anyone other than Nick, and let me tell you, everybody auditioned for it because the word was out. Not only was Amy Poehler going to be starring in this show, but the network gave it a series order. It was going to series. That doesn't happen. I mean, that is rare. But Greg had just given them, had given all of us The Office. He took it from the UK, turned it into the American version. And then
and didn't they have one of the same writers from The Office as well?
The
actor that played Mose was also one of the writers.
He's the co-creator. Not just a writer.
Yeah, his name is escaping me.
Yeah, Mike Shore.
Thank you.
Which I did an event in Boston a couple nights ago, and his dad showed up at the event. I mean, these people are just family. I mean, they're just family. But yeah, Mike Shore co-created with Greg. NBC said, give us an Office spinoff. And they just really didn't want to do that. They knew they wanted to do something, and they thought they wanted to take it out of like private, like Dunder Mifflin is a private company, and they wanted to put it in the world of government. And I think NBC was like, hey, you guys are the geniuses. Do whatever the hell you want to do. But we're going to give you a series. We're saying go for it. We're going to give you 13 episodes. Unheard of. And then they tell them, we're going to give you the post-Super Bowl slot. Now, by that, not immediate. It was going to be the Super Bowl, The Office, and then Parks and Rec. Again, unheard of. Like, that's
a built-in audience.
That's 30, 40 million people guaranteed. They turned it down. And the reason they turned it down was because Amy had turned down the show initially because she was pregnant. And I mean, uncomfortably pregnant. Not where you could work around it and hide it. She was just, it wasn't going to happen. And they said, okay, and they were going to move on. So really the first person hired was Aziz. It wasn't even Amy, which blew my mind. I never knew. And Aziz they hired without a full script. They just loved him on Human Giant. So they went with Aziz. So, but anyway, then they get offered these 13, and Mike and Greg and all these kind, they talk about it in the book because they all gave me their stories, which was amazing. But they decide we want to wait. We want to wait for Amy. So they decide we'll take 6 of those 13 and just delay the start so we get Amy. So the blessing and the curse of that, the blessing is you got Amy Poehler, and that's a pretty big blessing. The curse is when you don't do a pilot, you can't figure out what works and what doesn't work. And so we just started shooting. And when the show started airing, there was a lot of blowback because a lot of people thought the Leslie Knope character was a lot like Michael Scott. And they're like, we already have a Michael Scott. So there was that didn't work out. And I think we lost some people at the beginning. But by season 2, they knew it wasn't working and they fixed it. And then as far as I'm concerned, we sailed after that. But so Nick Offerman, to go back, just so obviously I ramble. So Nick Offerman, his take on it is to me the only take. But here's another story that you'll find out in the book that blew my mind. Nick Offerman was this close to never doing Ron Swanson. Nick is married to Megan Mullally, who was one of the stars on Will and Grace. She played Karen. And so
a show that I quite loved.
Oh my God, it's a great show. And I was crazy in love with Megan. Still am. I mean, she's funny and talented, and I talk about that in the book too. I mean, here she is. She's one of my co-stars' wives, and I'm just like, it's Karen from Will and Grace. Like I couldn't get past it. But
she is a fantastic actress.
Fantastic. She can do anything. She sings, she dances, she does it all. So Nick had auditioned for The Office, and it came down to him and another guy, and it was going to be a guest spot. He had also been offered a spot on his wife's show. So obviously he said to them, thank you, but I can't do it, to The Office people, because I'm going to do my wife's show. Had he done it, they would not have cast him in Parks and Rec, because other than Rashida, that was the crossover from The Office. They were not looking to have people from one show on the other because they wanted to keep the world separate. So had he done it, he would not, had he done The Office guest spot, he would not have done Parks. And they loved him so much. And Mike loved him so much and thought he was so different that Mike wrote his name on a little stickum, a little Post-it, and put it on his computer. And it sat there for years until the role of Ron Swanson came up. And he said, I think that's our guy. So it's all amazing how it all works. And then even me, because also the casting director is in the book too. I talked to her and how we all got to be cast. And I had also auditioned for The Office. And I, as a big fan, it was one of my, because you audition a lot and they come and go and you move on. But that one kind of stuck with me. Like, damn it, I really wanted to get that. Had I gotten it, I wouldn't have been Jerry on Parks, because she said to me, I wouldn't have submitted you. I wouldn't have done it because they don't want crossover. So it is weird how things work out. It's really something. But as far as their auditioning for Ron, everybody did, because it was the hot project. And so I wish I could see it. I must have done something to entertain them, because when it came time to cast Jerry, they brought me in, to read for Jerry. So, but I wish I could see the tape now. I'd probably be mortified, but it'd be interesting to see.
There was always two big things I noticed about Parks and Rec.
Penis and what else? Testicles. What are we talking about?
Well, that would be 3, because of technically they're each a separate entity.
Some people call the pouch by itself just one.
Yeah,
So
the coin purse can be one.
Either way, huge. So let's move on.
Yeah. One of the other things I noticed was The Office had the talking heads, but they had a reason behind it. And it seems like it's become a popular thing with a lot of shows since. Park and Rec did the talking heads and breaking the fourth wall, looking into the camera and stuff like that. But they never, unless I missed something early on, they never really explained it. And fans just let it go because it's just that good.
I think it's one of the oddest things. It was never explained, at least on The Office. At the end, they all get to watch it. They get to see the final product. No, I mean, it was just kind of hinted to that there's a documentary thing style happening, and then we never addressed it again. We would look right at that camera. We would do talking heads to the camera. I don't know who it was for. I don't know why it happened. I have no answer for you, Tristan. Literally no answer for you. But you're right. The audience just accepted it because they fell in love with the show and they loved it on The Office. Though I would imagine some people figured, well, at some point they're going to tell us what's going on, but we did not. No. We did not.
But to me, that's part of the brilliance of that storytelling is that you're doing things, you're making people make up their own kind of headcanon for what's going on.
Yeah.
But it never actually comes to fruition. They never get the closure on it. And that's part of the brilliance of it.
Yeah, and my guess is because of how it worked out with The Office, people just think it's the same thing. But remember, and Parks, again, spoiler alert, it's been off the air for 10 years, but we do a jump forward in the finale, a big jump forward. And so you see what happens to us, and yet there's still cameras there. Why? Why are there still cameras following
because
us?
They had to capture the career of the greatest mayor in the history of Pawnee.
Exactly. His 100th birthday. We had to be at his birthday party. Yeah.
I noticed around the second or third season, I think it might have been the third season, there was a weird shift where you guys brought in Adam Scott and Rob Lowe, and Paul Schneider, I think that was his name, Paul Schneider, left. Schneider. What was there a reason for the tonal shift? Was something not working? Because I've been rewatching it lately, and I was like, "Oh, these seasons are just as good." The show just keeps getting progressively better.
I think so too. A couple things about that. Amy and I did this live event a couple weeks ago that was amazing, and she said, and she was right. She said when Adam and Rob came on, it gave the show a burst of energy that it really needed. So that was great. And this is no slight to Paul because I love Paul. I gave him a going away party at my house. I love him. He's super talented. But in my head, a lot of times, to me, it always seems like Adam and Rob were with us from day one, even though I know they weren't. They weren't with us for 22 episodes or 20-something episodes. So that is weird for me. But as far as Paul goes, the story that I basically understood was everything was feeling very heavy manly. We had Ron, this manly man. We have Paul, who's now Mark Brandanowitz is the character's name, who has already dated Leslie. Now he dated the Shauna Malway tweet. Now he's dating Rashida. It all just, they thought we need to get a little less heavy duty man and lighten it up a little. And I also think, and this is 100% my opinion, it means nothing because what the hell do I know? Paul is more of a movie actor than he is a TV sitcom guy, because Paul is the kind of actor, and this blows my mind because I wish I was this kind, but I'm not. If he has 5 lines, he'll spend 5 hours working those 5 lines. He's just dedicated. But when you're on a sitcom, you don't get 5 hours. Lines are changed after you're done speaking them. If it isn't working, they hand you new stuff. If you're doing a multicam, you can literally, if an audience is out there and you don't get laughs, they are rewriting on the spot and you are handed new material. I don't think that was Paul's thing. I just really don't. And I tell this story in the book. You have someone like Aziz, who comes from a comedy background, stand-up comedy. And Aziz, he would show up and you'd think during the rehearsal, has he even looked at this? It didn't matter, because he'd come back from his trailer after hair and makeup and wardrobe and nail it every time. He was right there. So that was his process. So every actor is different, but I think I just don't think it was a good fit with Paul. But he was loved. I love Paul. But it was just one of those things. And then he went off to do films, and that's where I think he belongs. I think he's mostly a film actor. But again, all my opinion for whatever it's worth.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
Can you explain Dark Parks?
Oh, it's dark. And it's about parks. Dark Parks would happen on set when we were just shooting the shit, which was every day. And somebody would come up with a story, and it would be like filthy and scary. It was characters hooking up, like, it could be Donna and Tom, and then you say terrible things. You go, Dark Parks, and then everybody would burst out laughing. Yes, Dark Parks was the show we really wanted to do. That's
Okay.
the show. That's the show that needed to be done. It would never make any normal television, but that's the show that needed to be done. And because
that should be the new web show, Dark Parks.
I think it should
on
Dark
HBO Max.
Yes, yes. Or Showtime, because remember on Showtime they showed a lot of boobs. I think
A lot of skin, Skinemax. There you go.
There'd be a lot of skin in Dark Parks. Yes, I mean Jerry hooking up with Ron. I mean, Dark Parks was crazy. Anything happened in Dark Parks.
So we just got a few more for you before we wrap it up with our end of the show question here. But I got to ask you about this because it's something special that's always been close to me. What made you? I'm trying to think of a good way to ask this. What brought to your attention the Tuberous Sclerosis Alliance? Because for me, that's something that my little brother was born with.
Really?
So he's 33 now, and when he was born, thriving. But when he was born, they didn't know much about it in '89, so they were very ignorant to the effects of it and what people could live with and without. But they told him, or they told us, he's probably not going to live to be 3. He's probably not going to live to be 10. He's probably not going to live to be 18. Obviously, he gave the doctors all the middle finger on each one of those.
And has gone on to become a very wonderful person. Absolutely wonderful person.
Did he have infantile seizures and stuff like that?
He was having hundreds a day at some point. Yeah,
it's horrendous.
Yeah, they look like eye ticks, but there were hundreds of them a day.
Different things. It could look different on anybody. Here's how it happened, and it's a terribly embarrassing story, Tristan. Like terribly embarrassing, but it all worked out. So my publicist calls me and says there's this charity that's looking to get some people on the red carpet, just to help publicize, because the more you get out there, and this is a rare disease. This is not, it's not breast cancer, lung cancer, colon, where there's so much research, thankfully, that they're doing on it. This is a disease that you got to fight for every dollar. And so they said it affects children. Well, I mean, how do you say no to that? So I decided I'm going to go. And all I know is it's called tuberous sclerosis. That's the disease. So I get there, I go on the red carpet, and this is so embarrassing. The interviewer says to me, so Jim, what are your thoughts, about, people living with, however it was, living with tuberous sclerosis? And I said, in all earnestness, I thought we cured it. And she goes, what? I thought we cured tuberculosis. I thought it was tuberculosis.
Common misconception, not your fault.
But it's on camera somewhere that I said, I thought we cured this. I was so embarrassed. I mean, mortified. And actually, I won an award through them once, a lovely award I didn't deserve, but it was lovely. And I told that story. And so many people said to me later, Jim, we've all done it. So many people have done it because it is an odd name.
My whole family did that when we first found out.
Because it's so crazy, the name. So
again, if anybody ever finds the footage and brings it up, just bring up the shit in your pants thing again.
Exactly.
Just
do it all.
Distract them with that.
Yeah, you got it. Yes. Hey, no, don't watch this because look, I'm shitting myself over here. Come on, look over here.
It's the ultimate bait and switch. Come on.
Exactly. So, but I go into the event that night after the embarrassment on the red carpet, and I start watching the videos and the family testimonies, and I was in pretty quick.
Yeah.
To this day, I am now on the board of the Alliance. I'm a board member. It got me real fast. And so I've been on every April. We do Comedy for a Cure. And that's been going on for many years. Last year, Billy Gardell was our headliner. And it's basically a night to raise money. Again, it's a rare disorder, so you got to fight for every dime. And it's one of their most successful things they do during the year. So that's what got me in. It was just me sitting there and watching. Now, here's what's amazing. So since I've been involved, which I think I was just at the 50th Gala in New York about a month ago, and I think they told me I'd been associated for 12 years. I could be wrong about that, but it's around 12 years. And since then, the advances they have made, they have not completely, but they have close have gotten rid of infantile seizures with new drugs. Think about that. Think about that. You're saying your brother has 100 seizures a day.
Well, he used to. Now it's a lot under control, but yeah.
Right. But now with these drugs, when kids are born, they're not going to have those 100 seizures a day. Most aren't going to have any. That is amazing. They've learned that it's connected to autism. That is an amazing connection. Yes. I mean, there's so much that has happened in just the 12 years I've been around. And so, that place, they got my heart, and they know it. They know it. I'm all in.
My brother, his autistic tendencies, they show when it comes to like music, horses, and trains. He retains everything. For someone who they said was severe, profound mentally handicapped, this guy knows every lyric to every Tim McGraw song that has ever been made.
That's why.
And I'm not a hugely religious person. Yeah. But I would say the first time I've ever seen a miracle in my life, and people with tuberous sclerosis typically have tumors in both their heart and their brain.
Kidneys, brain.
Kidneys, brain, everything. But
they're all over.
He 1 year, because every year they go in and they do the pictures of the heart. I forget what the procedure is called, but just to make sure that their heart is healthy and there's no changes and the tumors aren't growing or new ones aren't growing. And 1 year we went in there and the doctors told us, it was like, we can't find the tumors.
Wow.
So we went in we went back the next year and they said, they're still not there anymore. They said, we have proof that they were there, but there's no scar tissue. There's no residue. Wow. There's no sign that they ever were there except for the previous year's proof.
But Tristan, was he on meds? Was he taking meds every day?
Oh, he's been on a buffet of meds his entire life.
Yeah. But
the doctors have just never been able to figure it out. They don't understand it.
And one of the if you're going to look for a miracle, that sounds like one to me. One of the doctors that is so great there, he also has tuberous sclerosis, but his presentation, some of them get facial stuff, like little things on their face. He's a genius. He's also got some stuff in his brain, but thankfully it never affected the areas, because it depends on where something is in your brain, how it's going to affect you. But to hear that they're just on, I don't think I've ever heard that. I don't think I've ever heard that.
The doctors, like I said, they were just baffled by it. They had no explanation for it at all. And you know what? I'll take it. It's a W.
Absolutely. Who cares how? Who the hell cares?
Right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. And now he's in his mid-30s and happy as a clam.
Are you guys associated with the Alliance? Like, you guys participate in any of the stuff, or
not as much as we used to? But there were times when he was growing up where we were very heavily involved, and we would help out and do charity events for both the Tuberous Sclerosis Alliance and Easter Seals, because they would take him in and do physical therapy and stuff like that with him at no cost.
Lovely.
No cost. We weren't poor growing up, but we didn't have the money for stuff like that.
Yeah,
and they just took him in, and
like that is $10. It's super expensive. Yeah, no, that's amazing. Yeah, the Alliance, and here's what else I love about the Alliance. I think, in my opinion, I'm a little biased. I think it's the gold standard of charities. There's four charity monitor places that rank charities to make sure the money's going to the right place. They're on the top lists, not the very top, but I mean they're in the top 10, I believe top 5% of all of them, which means the money is going where it's supposed to. It's legitimately helping these families, and so that alone makes me very happy to be involved with them.
That's fantastic. Well, before we wrap it up, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you and where they can get their copies of Welcome to Pawnee from?
Well, you can find me, I don't know, Instagram called The Real Jim O'Hare because I'm an asshole, took my name. So it's The Real Jim O'Hare.
I told you I'd sell it back to you.
I know, yeah, but you wanted $8. I'm like, I'll give you $5. I'm not going up to $8. Yeah. What else am I on? Facebook, just under my regular name, Jim O'Hare. I'm on X under, boy, is that Jim O'Hare? That might be Jim O'Hare also. The book is called Welcome to Pawnee, Stories of Friendship, Waffles, Parks, and Recreation. You can get it now anywhere. Before I was pushing Barnes & Noble and Books A Million, but now that they call it the pub date has happened, November 19th, it's pretty much everywhere. I'm a big fan of going to your local bookstore. It doesn't have to be a big chain to get it. And the other thing I want to point out is if you're a fan of the show, you are going to love, with a capital L, the cover of this book. I've had people tell me they're buying two, one for my signature and one to frame the cover. It's pretty amazing. And then the other night in, I think it was New York, I've been in the last 5 days, I've been to 6 cities. So it's all been very confusing. But somebody came up and said, "Oh, I love what you did on the cover." And I said, "Yeah, me too. I think it's amazing." And they said, "Yeah, with these little initials." I go, "What are you talking about?" The artist, because it's caricatures, and the artist put every character's initial in their ears. Like every one of us.
That's cool.
You guys, I've been looking at this book for 6 months. What are you telling me? I never saw it. So there's lots of Easter eggs. And the book is filled with pictures I promise you've never seen because they're from our phones. The other cast sent me pictures because there's so many legalities about using a picture. Holy shit, I never knew about any of that. But if it comes from your phone, you can do whatever the hell you want to do with it. So there's pictures from our phones. So I know you haven't seen it because they were on our phones. And there's just stories and there's some tough stories. It's not all, happiness. There were times that were rough things happened personally to me on the show, but they were never because of the producers or the cast. The cast, that was always nothing but a gift of my life. But, outside sources. And I talk about all that. I kind of put it all out there. I thought, well, I'm writing a book. Let's go. I'm not gonna shy away from whatever. So I don't know. I'm just really proud of it. I think it turned out well. Thankfully, the reviews have been good, and the fans have been really excited.
So one more question real quick. When are we going to see your animated series, Kevin, with Aubrey Plaza?
I think next year. I'm done recording. I think most of us are done recording. We've done all the table reads. It's done as far as the scripts. But with animation, there's a whole other world that's got to come together. But my stuff is all recorded. Aubrey's is recorded. I believe most of us are done, but I can't speak to that exactly. But definitely 25. I don't know when though.
We just watched her in Agatha
and
Catherine Hahn and Agatha All Along. Fantastic. If you haven't watched it, you can get into it without seeing any of the other stuff. Any of the other MCU stuff.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this. I'll say it to anyone who will listen. Aubrey Plaza is going to win an Oscar. She is special. There is something about this girl that is different and smart and talented, and she is going to win an Oscar. That's my prediction.
I'll take that.
I have to agree.
Take that bet.
I have to agree on that.
She's amazing.
Jim, the last thing we like to do in our discussions, we're both huge fans of James Lipton and Inside the Actors Studio. And at the end of Inside of the Actors Studio, he would always do the Bernard Pivot interview.
Oh boy.
And we like to use that because, again, we're huge fans, and these are some really great things that nobody ever asked questions about.
Okay.
So going to start this off.
I'm a bit nervous because I have seen his interviews and I thought, oh God, I would hate to be asked that question. So here we go.
What is your favorite word?
My favorite word?
Yep.
Chutney.
Okay. What is your least favorite word?
Moist.
Yeah, that's a
bad one.
That's a popular one for least favorite.
Yeah, I think that's really popular. Yeah, mostly women hate it, but I hate it too.
What sound or noise do you love?
Oh wow. I do. I love when my computer starts up and it makes that happy noise and it's like, oh, I'm about to check my emails. I like that. I like when my Apple iMac loads up.
Okay. What sound or noise do you hate?
Oh, anything when a woman is what's it called? On their nails.
The filing, the
emery board. The worst.
Yeah, that one makes my skin crawl.
Me too. And I'm on planes and you see people and I'm like, oh, please stop doing that. Yeah.
Okay. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Oh boy, do I have to be talented at it or something just in a dream?
Something that you want to try.
Boy, I think I think I love when I scuba dive. I would love to like somehow go down, like be a scuba diver down like near wreckages and stuff. I think it's really cool. Yeah, that would be cool. But I'm a little frightened by it, but I love it.
What profession other than your own would you not like to attempt?
Oh God, there's 1,000 of them. You know what? I'm going to say accountant, and the reason I say it is because that's what I was going to be because I was so stupid. And friends of mine said they were going to be accountants, so I said I'll be an accountant because I didn't know what the hell I wanted to do because I don't know how at 18 you're supposed to know what you're going to do with your life. And since then, thank God I wasn't an accountant because if it wasn't for my own accountant, I would have been in jail. I don't know how any of this shit works. So I hate it. I hate when he talks to me about this and that, and this has to go into this and this. I hate all of it. I do it, but I hate it.
That is not the first time we've heard that answer.
No, it's not. It's not.
Truthful with you.
Creatively, Jim, what turns you on?
Wow. I love getting a script, and I have to figure out what I'm going to do with it. And that would happen every week with Parks. And as a character goes on, it's easier and easier to do because you become, they're writing to you, they're doing that. But getting a script, I did a theater piece last December, January, February in Kansas City. I sat down with that script for a month, just figuring out what I'm going to do. I pride myself in finding a laugh. I pride myself in finding the deep where maybe it's not a laugh and maybe somebody think that should be a laugh. And I'm like, no, here's why this shouldn't be a laugh. So I love that process. Love that.
What turns you off?
Oh my gosh. Looking at my naked self in a mirror. Dear God, it's terrifying. Other than that, no, it's a mess. Believe me, it's hair and gross. What turns me off? I don't eat seafood. I don't like seafood. So
really? Is it a texture thing or?
Nope. We know where it came from because all my siblings, none of us eat seafood. My mother was the greatest woman alive, but she was a terrible cook. And my father was very much, your mother worked, it was all about respect. We grew up, you respect, and you respect women, you respect your mother, all stuff you should learn as a kid. And one time my mother tried to make fish. And my father, we were like, oh, it stinks. We don't want to eat it. We don't want to eat it. And he's like, you're going to eat this. Your mother worked to make this, blah, blah, blah. It turned out 4 children vomiting at a table, vomiting.
Oh.
To this day, none of us eat fish. Oh. So if the brain isn't powerful, I don't know what is.
Yeah, that's how my family was. You eat what's put on the table.
This is your mother made this. This is what you do. Exactly. Yeah. Like nowadays,
you don't eat it all.
Oh, I have to make this one wants this. This one wants this. This one wants this. Oh no. We didn't play that game.
You eat what's put on the table and you like it.
And you be happy with it or move on. Yeah.
And if you don't like it, you still eat it. And
you still eat it. You had to. Yes.
So Jim, what's your favorite curse word?
Oh, I love fuck, but that's an easy one. But you know what I've been using a lot lately, and I don't know why, but bastard, and that can be used in many different realms. But I like, oh, you stupid bastard. I like that.
I resemble that remark.
Oh, you do. After just this conversation, you definitely do. No, but I think fuck is going to be a go-to. It's just so simple. And now, if I'm really into it, and I don't use it often, but sometimes I'm not proud of it, but the C word comes out.
We get that a lot.
We have been getting that a lot, but most people say they want to use it in the British accent or English accent.
I don't use it in the English accent. And let me tell you, if Jim O'Hare is using that word, step aside because shit is getting real.
Try doing the English accent with it sometime. It's gonna amuse you at least.
Like, hey, oh, that fucking cunt. Oh, she's a cunt. Yeah, it does. It takes away.
It's fun.
Yeah,
takes the piss out of it.
Yeah, no, you're right.
You throw a little Irish on it. It's a cunt. You're a cunt.
A cunt. Oh, she's a sweet cunt.
And now the greatest transition of all time, Jim.
Uh-oh.
If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Well, I think number one, I want him to say, "Here's your mom and dad." I want to meet them, and I think I want him to say, "You did good." I don't know. I think you did good. Yeah, you were good. I know
you're doing pretty good.
Today, but I try to be good. Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing pretty good, man. Thank you so much.
Well, by that I mean to other people. I don't mean I did good like I had a successful career. I mean you did good. You were good to others.
You did good things.
It wasn't just about you. Because that kind of thing.
I'm sure you'll get your wish. So, but thank you so much, sir.
Yes.
We appreciate you
for all your time.
Time's over. Yeah.